What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the Ride1Up Portola e-bike. Now this e-bike is a class 3 e-bike, which means you can go up to 28 miles per hour with pedal assist. Now in addition to that, there's a lot of other really impressive features about this e-bike, and I'm looking forward to showing you everything there is to know about it here in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Now I'd like to thank Ride1Up for being kind enough for sending out the Portola for me to cover here in the channel. Now of course, all opinions expressed in this video are completely my own, and this was actually a brand that I was personally not familiar with prior to them reaching out to me. Now in case you're curious, this is actually the 4th e-bike that I've owned, and it's actually the best one that I've owned. But in addition to class 3 e-bikes, I also have had experiences with class 2 and class 1. And I think one thing that's especially exciting is that the prices for class 3 e-bikes continue to go down and down. It was really only a few years ago that I bought my first e-bike with my own money, and it was a class 1, and it was more expensive than this e-bike and really had a fraction of the features that we're getting here. So the point is that as the e-bike industry progresses, we're getting more and more for less and less money. Now if you do want to learn even more about the Ride1Up Portola or potentially buy one, definitely take a look at my affiliate link in the video description. Now before I get into further detail here with the Ride1Up Portola, I just want to have a little bit of a conversation about e-bikes in general. Now there are some misconceptions about e-bikes, and the first one is that if someone buys an e-bike, they must be lazy. They must not be willing to ride a normal non-electric bike, and they want to go on easy mode and just use the throttle the entire time. Well, the reality is people use bikes for more than just exercise. And especially with e-bikes and class 3 e-bikes like this one, this is really a solid alternative to using a car, and especially if you want to go to the grocery store or if you want to commute or anything like that. Now for myself, I'm located in a suburban area, so you pretty much have to go everywhere by car. And if I did want to use a traditional bicycle instead of a car, it's not practical at all. It would take me so long to get to each destination that's just not realistic. So when I saw that e-bikes were beginning to reach the market, I was very excited to try one out and to see if it really is a viable alternative to using a gas-powered car. Now, of course, you have to consider the range of the e-bike and then also the top speed of the e-bike, and that's really where class 3 comes in because you can go up to 28 miles per hour, which definitely does make a big difference. Now, for me personally, just because this bike can go 28 miles per hour doesn't mean I'm always riding that fast. Typically, I find around 20 miles per hour is a nice speed to go where it's a little bit more relaxing than going 28. But at the same time, there are situations where I want to go just a bit faster, and going with a class 3 like this one really gives you that level of flexibility. Now, in addition to the exercise aspect, you can definitely still get exercise with an e-bike. You do have to pedal. You don't have to pedal because you can use the throttle, but pedaling is certainly an option. So if you're going to go ahead and spend money on a bike anyway, you may as well get one such as an e-bike that gives you pretty much every option available. And I will admit, I do regret starting off with a class 1. I figured, well, I'm kind of a beginner e-bike rider, may as well not get anything too advanced, but honestly, after a few months, I wanted something that offered a bit more. So I recommend just saving the trouble and going directly to a class 3 right away if you've never had an experience with an e-bike. The other thing too is that if you are worried about the fast speeds of a class 3, you can travel at pretty much any speed you want. If you want to go 5 miles per hour, you certainly have that option. And with this bike, there's 5 modes, and you can certainly just ride it in level 1. That gives you the least amount of battery assistance, but instead you're doing more work on your part. Now speaking of which, this bike has a range of up to 40 miles, and if you are in the lowest mode, you'll get that full range. But if you're in mode 5, you are going to be getting less range in return for that. So if you do decide to ride this at 28 miles per hour the entire journey, you should expect to get between 15 and maybe 20 miles, depending on if you're going downhill or not. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that there is an upgraded battery option for this bike, so if you do think that's something better for you, you do have that option to get a little bit more range out of it. Now, of course, if you need to travel to the whole other side of your city, you are going to need a car. But the average American drives, I believe, around 3 miles for most of the trips that they do, and e-bikes can certainly take care of that need. Now, the Ride1Up Portola is offered in 3 different colors, so you can get in either charcoal, sea turquoise, or indigo. And then for indigo, it actually is offered in a matte finish, so that's pretty cool, but this one is charcoal. And then another awesome benefit of this e-bike is its very powerful 750 watt motor, which is dramatically more powerful than the 500-watt motor that comes with its main competitor, the electric XP 3.0, so something worth considering. Now, one of the best things about the Ride1Up Portola is that it's pretty much good to go right out of the box. There's just a few things you have to put together, but overall, you can get all that done in about 10 minutes. So that's really awesome. It's not like there's a million pieces to put together, but here's everything that comes included in the box. So we of course have the charger. Also, make sure to only use this charger with the bike. Don't use any other charger, no third-party chargers, none of that, for your own safety. We're also getting the keys right here for the battery, to remove the battery. We're also getting a Ride1Up hat, which is nice. There's a toolkit here. There's some maintenance grease, some manuals, and then I'm not really sure what this is. I haven't needed it. If you know what it is, let me know. But that's everything we're getting, and this hat can certainly come in handy on cold days. Now, one thing about the keys is that the keys are not actually used to power the bike on. So you can start the bike, ride the bike without using the keys, which has some pros and cons to it. As far as a security measure, the keys really do nothing. The keys actually just serve for removing the battery in the bike. So of course, that's important. You wouldn't want someone to come up to your bike and pull the battery out. That would be very unfortunate. But at the same time, it would have been nice if you could also use the key to lock the bike itself so that it can't be ridden. Now, removing the battery on the Ride1Up Portola is very simple. Now, to charge the battery, you don't actually have to remove it because there is a charge port on the side here. But if you are someone who happens to live in an apartment, for example, and maybe you want to keep the bike downstairs and you just want to bring the battery up to charge, then there are some benefits with being able to remove the battery. But basically, we'll take the key to remove the battery. So insert the key, unlock it, turn this dial here, and then just like that, the battery pops out. Now, out of every e-bike I've covered, and not every e-bike I've covered even has a removable battery, but for the ones that do, this is by far the easiest at removing. And another benefit, I suppose, of having a battery this easy to take out is that if you do want to get a second battery, you could always maybe leave it on the back. I'm not really sure, but the fact that it's so easy to swap batteries or at least take out the battery is definitely a major selling point for this e-bike. And then to put the battery back into the e-bike, it's very simple, just like this, and now it's back in. But like I mentioned, to actually power on the e-bike, you don't even need to use the key. But to power it on, just hold down the power button for about a few seconds here. And then now the display is on. Now, it's a pretty basic display. It doesn't give you a whole lot of information, but at the same time, it gives you everything that you do need. Now, these plus and minus buttons can be used to adjust the mode. So you can see right now it's in mode 5. We can go all the way down to mode 1, for example. And then by default, this bike is not actually enabled to be a Class 3 e-bike. It's enabled to be a Class 2. But you can very easily switch it to a Class 2 by holding the power and minus button at the same time. And then you can see it's now in Class 1. You can do it once again. It'll put you in Class 2. And you can do it once again for Class 3. And this is actually a really nice feature. Even though I do like Class 3, you might wonder, why would anyone even want Class 2 or Class 1? Well, there are certain countries, and I think some national parks even, where you actually legally are limited on the class of the e-bike. So if the jurisdiction you're in only allows Class 1, for example, you can switch it to Class 1 and you'll know that you're good to go. And then to turn on the headlight, just hold down the plus button, and the headlight will now turn on. And then also you'll see the screen is now illuminated. So that's really nice too. And then also along with this, the tail light will then illuminate. Then to turn off the headlight, just hold down the plus button once again. And then now it's back to normal. Now taking a closer look here at everything else, we of course have the brakes right here. We also have the throttle right here. That's also a bit interesting of the throttle on the left side. I typically have used it on the right side on other bikes. We do have the shifter here on the right, so there is a full gear shifter here. We also have a bike bell, so very simple. And then the grips are definitely really good quality. Of course, braking and suspension are both very important, especially when it comes to safety. So we are getting hydraulic brakes up front here, so that's great. And we're also getting disc brakes so at the front and back. I also appreciate too that we are getting this rack on the back, so you can add other things to this potentially or just mount things to the rack here. And then we're also getting metal mud guards in the front and back. So that's a nice high quality touch. I feel like other bikes I've tested, they tend to be plastic, so it is cool to see that it is metal. Also with this bike, the pedals do fold up to make it a little bit more compact, and then very easily you can pop them back out and use them. And then just like any bike, we are getting a seat that is adjustable. What's going on, everyone? We are here on the Ride1Up Portola e-bike. This is a class 3 e-bike. Going for a test ride. And this is super fun. I mean, I love e-bikes in general, but this one is especially great because of the suspension. Also, with it being class 3, it really makes things, you know, way better. And overall, this bike has a really high quality build to it. And it just feels really solid when riding down the trails and everything. So I'm on a multi-use trail right now, which is really where this bike is best for. It's really nice just being able to ride around and not have to worry about any cars or anything like that. So honestly, whenever I see a new multi-use trail open up, I want to give it a try. Well, let's now get to the fun part. I want to show you how to fold the Ride1Up Portola. So of course, this is a foldable e-bike, and folding e-bikes are nice for multiple reasons. The first benefit is that if you just want to store the bike and you want to take up a bit less space, you have that option. The second benefit is that it could be easier to carry up steps potentially as well. And then another benefit too is that if you want to take the bike in your car, maybe you want to take it somewhere else, you don't have to have a bike rack. You can fit it in pretty much any car. And then if you want to take it on public transportation, I suppose you can also fold it up for that purpose as well. But let's now fold the Ride1Up Portola. Let's start here with the handlebars. So you can release it here. Then there's a button right there to press. And then that drops down just like that. Then we have this lever right here. So we'll release that. And then now we'll fold the bike. So very simple, just like this. And then part of the frame does rest on the ground here, so that's great. Then put the kickstand up, and then you can get it fully together here. And then what's cool too is that there's actually a strap here that you can use to wrap around and then secure it like that. And then now everything is completely together. And then here's a closer up view of the strap. So one of the most common complaints with folding e-bikes that don't have a strap like this, which is pretty much any other folding e-bike out there, is that they're very hard to pick up because they pretty much always want to go unfolded. So basically now with this strap together, I can pick this up very easily and the strap holds everything together here. So I'm picking up the entire bike literally with just one hand. Now, if there was no strap here, I would have to awkwardly hold the bike with two hands and then also hope that it doesn't try to come undone. So I'm not sure who from Ride1Up came up with this idea, but it's brilliant. But this concludes my review of the Ride1Up Portola e-bike. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up, and also let me know what you think of the e-bike itself. But again, overall, I'm really happy about it. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing to ride this e-bike beyond the review period. I really like it a lot, and it's a great addition to my fleet. But again, if you're interested, take a look at the affiliate link in the video description. Thanks again, Ride1Up, for sending this out to me. And then also take a look at my other e-bike content here on the channel, as I do have other reviews for both e-bikes and scooters. But this is Kevin here. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.